deadly seductress emerges. In modern-day Japan, a quiet suburb was hiding a dark secret. Between 2007 and 2009, several men died mysteriously, many found in bathtubs, in fires, or from drug overdoses. Authorities first thought it was coincidence. But all these men had one connection: a charming, elegant woman named Kanae Kijima. She used love as her weapon and poison as her tool. Her goal? Money. This is the chilling story of a real-life Black Widow, a woman who turned romance into a trap and death into profit, a pattern of death. In 2009, Tokyo police grew suspicious after 41-year-old Takao Terada was found dead in a suspicious house fire. Days later, 53-year-old Kenzo Ando died of carbon monoxide poisoning in his car. Then 80-year-old Yoshiyuki Oide was found in a bathtub, dead from sleeping pills. 3 unrelated deaths? No. Investigators soon discovered a disturbing link. All 3 men had been romantically involved with Kanae Kijima, and in each case, she was the last person to see them alive. Japan was about to meet its most manipulative murderer. Who was Kanae Kijima? Kanae Kijima was born in 1974. Bright and well-educated, she grew up in a middle-class household in Hokkaido. But behind her intelligence was greed. She craved luxury, designer clothes, expensive hotels, fine dining. To fund her lifestyle, she turned to marriage fraud. Using online matchmaking services, she targeted lonely, older men, convincing them she was ready for love. What they didn't know, Kanae never intended to marry, only to murder. She was a predator in pearls, and love was just a deadly disguise, early warning signs. Even in her youth, Kijima displayed troubling behavior. Former classmates described her as intelligent but manipulative, often lying to gain advantages. By her 20s, she had developed expensive tastes far beyond her means. She began engaging in petty fraud, writing bad checks and borrowing money she never repaid. These were just glimpses of what was to come. The path from small-time con artist to murderer wasn't sudden. It was gradual, calculated, and revealed a woman willing to do anything for financial gain. The dating game. By the mid-2000s, online dating had become popular in Japan. For Kijima, these platforms weren't about finding love. They were hunting grounds. She created multiple profiles, each tailored to attract different types of men. Her preferred targets? Wealthy, older, and socially isolated. She studied their profiles, learning their desires and weaknesses. Then she transformed herself into their perfect match. She wasn't just playing the dating game, she was mastering it, with deadly consequences for those who fell into her web. The first victim. Takao Terada, a 41-year-old electrician, met Kijima through a dating site in 2007. Friends say he was instantly captivated by her charm and beauty. Within weeks, he was spending lavishly on her: gifts, meals, and cash. By early 2009, he had transferred nearly $60,000 to her accounts. On February 19, 2009, Terada was found dead in his burned apartment in Tama City. Initially ruled an accident, investigators later discovered sleeping pills in his system. His bank accounts were drained. But this wasn't Kijima's first kill, merely the first one connected to her: the poison plot. Kanae's method was calculated. She'd gain her victims' trust, sometimes even faking engagement. Then she'd introduce sleeping pills into their food or drink. Once unconscious, she staged their deaths to look like accidents: fires, overdoses, suicides. In some cases, she even helped plan their final moments to appear romantic or tragic. The goal? Collect life insurance, bank transfers, and expensive gifts. She was cold, patient, and terrifyingly efficient. Japan had never seen a female killer so bold and so heartless. The second victim falls. Kenzo Ando, a 53-year-old company president, became Kijima's next known victim. Meeting through an online matchmaking service, he quickly became enamored with the charming woman, 20 years his junior. By May 2009, he had given her approximately $100,000. On May 15th, Ando was found dead in his car, carbon monoxide poisoning the apparent cause. Nearby security cameras captured Kijima, leaving the scene hours before his body was discovered. The pattern was becoming clearer. But authorities hadn't yet connected the deaths. The elderly target, Yoshiyuki Oide, at 80 years old, should have been enjoying his golden years. Instead, he became entangled with Kijima after meeting her online. Despite their 46-year age gap, she convinced him they had a future together. By August 2009, he had transferred substantial sums to her accounts. On August 6th, he was found dead in his bathtub, an apparent drowning. But toxicology reports revealed a lethal dose of sleeping medication. 3 men dead in 6 months, all linked to one woman. The pieces were finally coming together. The money trail. Investigators followed Kijima's finances and uncovered a shocking pattern. Between 2007 and 2009, she had received over $700,000 from various men. Much of this money funded her lavish lifestyle, luxury apartments, shopping sprees at high-end boutiques, and frequent travel. She maintained detailed records of her victims' assets, documenting their net worth and possible inheritance values. Some evidence suggested she had connections to at least 10 men who died under suspicious circumstances. The Black Widow's web was larger than anyone initially suspected. The digital footprint. Kijima thought she was careful, but she left digital breadcrumbs. Her computer revealed searches for successful suicide methods, undetectable poisons, and creating house fires. She had researched each victim extensively, studying their medical histories and home layouts. Perhaps most chilling were her notes on sleeping medications and their lethal dosages. As investigators pieced together her online activities, they realized they weren't dealing with crimes of passion. These were meticulously researched, coldly executed murders for financial gain. The mistakes begin. Kanae was careful, but not perfect. When Yoshiyuki Oide died, his bathtub showed signs of staged drowning. Autopsy results revealed an overdose of sleeping medication. More troubling, Kanae had recently searched online for how to kill using sedatives. Suspicious banking activity followed. Investigators linked a series of accounts and transactions, all pointing to Kijima. Her web of lies began to unravel. One by one, the victims' families came forward with questions, and Japan's quiet killer was no longer invisible. The survivor who spoke out. Not all of Kijima's targets became victims. In 2008, a 67-year-old businessman grew suspicious after meeting her online. After several dates, she asked for substantial loans. When he refused, she suddenly lost interest. Later, learning about similar cases, he contacted police. His testimony provided crucial insights into her methods, how she selected victims, gained trust, and extracted money. This survivor's account helped authorities understand her psychological tactics and may have saved countless lives. His courage to speak out accelerated the investigation. The investigation tightens. By 2010, police had built a timeline of Kijima's movements. They discovered she'd contacted over 20 men through dating websites. Many had given her large sums of money, some over $100,000. One man, after surviving her manipulation, warned the authorities. The police finally had enough evidence to move in. In a dramatic arrest, Kanae was taken into custody. Calm and poised, she denied everything. But behind that calm exterior was a woman responsible for multiple deaths, and a nationwide media storm had just begun. The hidden identities. Investigators discovered Kijima had used at least 10 different aliases across various dating platforms. She maintained separate phones, email accounts, and even apartments for different personas. To some men, she was Kanae, a shy office worker looking for stability. To others, she was Hitomi, a wealthy widow seeking companionship. Each identity was carefully crafted to appeal to specific targets. Her ability to seamlessly transition between these characters demonstrated a frightening level of psychological manipulation and perhaps signs of a fractured psyche. The evidence mounts. As police searched Kijima's multiple residences, the evidence became overwhelming. They discovered medication matching what was found in her victims' systems, financial documents linking her to the deceased, and journals detailing her interactions with each man. Most damning were the handwritten notes outlining how to make deaths appear accidental. In one apartment, investigators found a shrine-like collection of mementos from her victims, watches, cufflinks, and personal items. These weren't just trophies, they were proof of her methodical approach to murder. The media frenzy. The Japanese media dubbed her the Black Widow, a name taken from the spider that kills its mate. News outlets ran her photos across the country. People were shocked. How could someone so polite, so graceful, be a cold-blooded killer? Public fascination exploded. For months, her trial dominated headlines. The contrast between her appearance and her crimes created a chilling image. Kijima wasn't just a killer, she was a master of deception, and Japan watched every detail unfold in court. Behind bars. During her detention awaiting trial, Kijima's behavior puzzled prison staff. She remained calm, polite, and cooperative, showing no signs of remorse or anxiety. She spent hours reading fashion magazines and requested beauty products. When asked about the charges, she maintained her innocence with unsettling confidence. Prison psychologists noted her ability to compartmentalize and her apparent lack of emotional connection to her actions. Even in confinement, she continued to manipulate, attempting to charm guards and fellow inmates alike. The trial of Kanae Kijima. Kanae Kijima's trial began in 2012 and lasted nearly a year. The courtroom heard testimony after testimony from victims' families, former lovers, and digital forensic experts. Despite denying involvement, evidence was overwhelming. Searches for poison, forged documents, and surveillance footage placed her at crime scenes. The jury was stunned by her cold demeanor and lack of remorse. Prosecutors argued she viewed men as disposable and money as her motive. The court faced a haunting question. How many others had she tried to kill and gotten away with? The families speak. The trial gave voice to the devastated families left behind. Takao Terada's mother spoke of finding her son's burned remains. Kenzo Ando's daughter described her father's excitement about his new relationship, never suspecting it would lead to his death. Yoshiyuki Oide's grandson recounted how the elderly man had been revitalized by what he thought was late-life love. Their testimonies painted pictures not just of victims, but of fathers, sons, and friends whose lives were cut short by a woman who saw them only as financial transactions. The defense crumbles. Kijima's defense strategy quickly fell apart. Her attorneys attempted to portray the deaths as coincidences or suicides. They claimed the financial transfers were gifts from willing suitors. But forensic evidence told a different story. Cell phone records placed her at each crime scene. Toxicology reports showed identical sedative patterns, and her own computer searches revealed premeditation. As the trial progressed, her composed facade occasionally cracked, revealing glimpses of anger when evidence contradicted her carefully constructed narrative. The truth was becoming undeniable. Psychological assessment. Court-appointed psychiatrists diagnosed Kijima with antisocial personality disorder, with narcissistic traits. They described her as highly intelligent but emotionally detached, capable of mimicking normal human connections without actually feeling them. Most disturbing was her complete lack of empathy for her victims and their families. The diagnosis wasn't offered as an excuse, but as an explanation of how someone could commit such calculated crimes. The assessment concluded she was fully aware of her actions and their consequences, making her legally responsible for her crimes. The verdict and sentence. On April 13, 2012, Kanae Kijima was found guilty of 3 murders. The judge called her crimes heinous and selfish. Her sentence? Death by hanging, the harshest punishment in Japan. She became one of the few women on Japan's death row. Yet even after sentencing, she remained defiant, refusing to apologize or show emotion. As she was taken from the courtroom, Japan collectively exhaled. The Black Widow had finally been caught, but her legacy would leave a lasting scar. The psychology of a killer. Kijima wasn't a killer driven by rage. She was driven by greed. Psychologists who studied her case noted narcissistic traits, manipulation, and lack of empathy. She viewed relationships as transactions and human lives as stepping stones. Her victims weren't chosen at random. They were carefully selected based on vulnerability and wealth. What made her story so terrifying wasn't just the murders, it was the method. She played the perfect partner, then delivered death. A reminder that monsters don't always hide in the shadows. They smile, charm, and pretend to love. Appeals and aftermath. Following her conviction, Kijima filed multiple appeals maintaining her innocence despite overwhelming evidence. Each appeal was rejected, with Japan's Supreme Court ultimately upholding her death sentence in 2017. While awaiting execution, she wrote a controversial memoir, further demonstrating her narcissism and lack of remorse. She became infamous in criminology studies worldwide as researchers examined her methodology. Her case prompted Japanese dating services to implement stricter verification procedures. But for many, these changes came too late. A legacy of fear. Kanae Kijima's story shook Japan. It raised questions about online dating, trust, and how easily people can be deceived. Her case inspired documentaries, books, and deep societal reflection. Even today, the mention of her name sends chills down spines. She wasn't a werewolf or ghost, but a very real, very human monster. And in her web of lies, many innocent lives were caught. The Black Widow of Osaka remains a haunting symbol of betrayal, greed, and the terrifying power of manipulation.